Review. Thank you. And again, we're here for our agenda review for the Wednesday, June 3rd, 2026 meeting of Little River Band of Ottawa Indians. And we'll skip down to grants and business. Let's see, continuing business grants and contracts, ratification from restricted funds 49660-000-6100 for the LATCF funds 4529-000-6100 for Gosling Zubik Engineering contract for project management of the utility upgrades in the amount of $127,200. And that is Gary Lewis.
Yes, so this is accepting the addendum to the contract with Goslin Zubek in the amount of $3,000. I believe it's a reclassification of the funds from ARPA to LATCF. And that's it.
Okay, do we have any questions from Mr. Lewis?
I do want to say I do believe we have a work session tomorrow.
Okay. Counselor Wolf?
There's no fund in the 6,100, so how are you reclassifying funds?
Cindy, do we want to?
Oh, yes, Mrs. Tozer, if you have an explanation.
Counselor Wolf, I'm not sure I understand if you say there's not funds in the 6,100. If we take it out of the LACTF, we could put that into his fund. There is funds in there. The 4529. This is that one where the previous CFO didn't record this on the Treasury site. And I got a balance due that you had requested the last time. So if currently there's $722,000 sitting in the LATCF, if we take the 127 for this Headworks backpack, which we will have to reclass some of the funds because we put that against the wrong project, and then using Deanna's use of 24,000, that'll leave a balance of $570,465 in the LATCF.
I'm saying there's no restricted fund of 6,100. So how are you reclassifying them? That account was ARPA dollars that had to all go back at the end of 2025. So where does the reclassification come from? You're just asking for an expenditure out of the LATC funds. You can't reclassify funds that aren't there.
Okay, so here's what happened. The POs came in, and unbeknownst to our AP department, they still put it in the 4996, thinking and believing that that $127,000 was already in there. And it was in the 4996, but it wasn't on the Treasury site. So we didn't commit that 127 on the Treasury site. So because it was already approved and believing that it was coming out of the 4996, we applied charges erroneously to the wrong project. So to correct this, we would like to be able to use $127,200 of the LATCF to take those wrong funds on the wrong project and put it against this, and then the remainder of what's left in that project.
So there's an error in the resolution title because it's not 49660. It should only be 4966.
Gary, I don't know who did the resolution.
Diane did up the resolution. So you want to change this to what? No.
Needs to be
You have an
499.
account that is 49660 000 6100. That's not what's the account number Cindy quoted. There's an extra number in there.
Um, uh,
We're
I want to
nine,
get,
nine,
I want
sorry.
to grab our attorney to Mrs. Bowers. Mrs. Bowers, do you have an answer for this?
Yeah, it should be 4996.
4996. Thank you. Mrs. Frias, you're on mute.
Thank you. Was bidding added to the contract for Gosling Zubak for this? Even though I know you're sort of reclassifying or asking for funds out of a different fund, was the bidding added to the project as well?
What project is that, Mike?
So, yeah, they're already under contract, so I'm not sure what the question is.
Just in the contract, I thought I had read that they were under contract to manage the construction activities, but did we also add in that they would manage sort of the bidding process?
When she said
They
that,
usually are in there for the supervisory engineer portion of it.
Okay. Okay, and I just wanted to point out to council in all of Gosling Zubak's contracts, they're all very similar. They include attorney's fees. If Gosling were to sue us and win, we would have to pay attorney's fees for them. They all have a limit of liability on the amount of the contract, which is 127,000 roughly. They all have a non-binding mediation as the sort of venue for contract disputes, but in tribal court. There's no waiver of sovereign immunity directly stated in the contract, so that's good. And I just wanted to make council aware of those provisions.
No, this was the next payment.
Counselor Wolf?
I'm still unclear of the title of this resolution. There is no funding in 4996. So how are you reclassing restricted funds that are no longer there? I understand there was a mistake in what we're doing, but the title of what we're adopting today is not correct in my opinion. How can you reclassify funds from an account that has no funding? Looks like Cindy wants to respond.
Okay, I was just waiting for you to get finished. Mrs. Dozen?
Yes, I think you're right. I haven't really looked at the resolution. I do know that it's just, I have to look at the resolution, but from what you're stating is absolutely right. We're just taking some funds that were put into 4996 erroneously, and we want to take them out of that 4996 and put them into the 4529 and use LATCF.
Counselor Wolf, did you have something?
So are you saying 4996 has $127,200 erroneously sitting there?
Not on the, no, on our MIP. You get, okay, so you all said, yes, we're going to approve this resolution, and I don't know the original resolution.
Was for
And
$3 million, right?
For 127, no, that 3 million is a different one. This
That's what
127,
it got charged to on accident.
that's correct. It got charged to there erroneously. We want to remove it because the previous CFO did not commit this amount on the treasury site. So we would like to be able to take that money that was put into that $3 million project in error, and then create a new, I guess, a new line item in the 4529 for the 127,200, because obviously they've already done a lot of that work and there's not much left. And we only just discovered it. Kathleen Bowers and myself discovered this the end of the last quarter. So we just discovered this mistake in December of 2025.
Okay, I understand all of that process, but what we're adopting in the law says we're taking restricted funds from 4996 and converting them to LATC 4529. We don't have anything in 4996 to move because it was already converted into 4529 or sent back.
So would you want a rescinding resolution, whatever the number was? And then going into the LATCF funding?
Why does it have to be something rescinded? That's what I don't understand. You guys are trying to say there's restricted funds in 4996 and it is a zero balance in 4996.
Because then there would still be a resolution that it showed that it came out of there.
The resolution doesn't show that it came out there because you guys created an error behind the scenes by charging it to the wrong project. There's not a resolution that says $127,000 came out of that account. From what Cindy just explained. I think the resolution needs to match the action that you're doing, and if you have a zeroed out account, you can't move money from it. That's my comment.
Mrs. Tozer?
It's a little, yes, it's a little confusing because the money is on a project in 4996, that $3 million project. There's still money, there's still work to be done on that particular project, but we also put money towards another project in with that project by mistake. So I think what Gary is stating is correct, that we should rescind that original resolution and then ask for a new one using the LATCF funds.
So we have a work session on this tomorrow, right?
Correct.
Okay. Counselor Metzger.
Yeah, I would just, there's two resolutions on the back. 240605-101 and then 240605-105. On 105, we do have a certificate availability from the CFO. 2024-008 in the amount of 127,000. If that was not factual, that in itself creates a problem.
You're not saying they lied.
They do have it in that account, is what she's saying, because they moved all the dollars into that LACT fund.
Because these were the original, or I'm looking at the contracts for, like I said, 2 years ago, actually 2 years ago. When they first started asking for that 127. So I really think we need a forensic audit downstairs, see exactly what we got where.
Mrs. Tozer?
So the money's never been moved out of 4996. I'll try to explain this. There was $3 million that was approved on a resolution to do the actual headworks project of $3 million. There was also another resolution to approve the 127. Both of those are in there, but they're not on the Treasury site. only the 3 million was approved on the treasury site, which was committed. They both have to balance. Our system internally and the system at the treasury have to balance. So we didn't know, our AP team did not know that 127,000 was not in the treasury. As far as we knew, it was there. So we started applying those funds to the 4996 in error because they never should have gone in there because the previous CFO did not commit them on the treasury site. So as far as the treasury site was concerned, that 127 didn't exist. And in the commitment that we've looked at, Kathleen and I, with the treasury, that $127,000 is not there. She didn't commit it. So we were using money towards the wrong project, and that 127 is still necessary. They've done the work on that. Most of it, I believe, Gary has said. So we need to just basically rescind that 127, $200 that was committed back in, I think, 2022, 23. And then we need to do a new resolution for this 127 out of the 4529 LATCF fund. That's what we're asking for. And I understand, Recorder Metzger, that that you do have that, but when only half of the paperwork is done, then this is what ends up happening. We end up with a little bit of a mess.
So where would the past CFO get the information to issue a funds availability certificate for 127?
She obviously, I mean, she had the money there, but we're still trying to reconcile, and it's not. There was money there. I'll tell you what, we've got $34,148,835 that is adopted budget and committed on the treasury site, and we've only got not very much left. I think about 1.8, which is basically the rest of that headworks. We are over on some. I can't, I've come to the conclusion, why ask why? I don't know where she got it. I don't know why she did that.
Okay. Well, it sounds like you'll be finding more information as you go along.
I am. That is true.
All right. Wish you well.
Yeah, before I Stacy, I just want to say that the problems that existed here back at the time, Mrs. Robbs, it was not just one department. It was this organizational wide over on the executive side. So I don't want to shoot the messengers who are trying to clean it up because Mr. Reinhardt and Mrs. Tozer have full faith in it. It's just I want to make sure everybody's aware that the whole was organizational wide. Stacy.
Well, this wasn't my question, but Kathleen's on the line. Can she clear it up?
Ms. Bowers.
I have been working diligently trying to get these to match. I only have a couple more line items to go to get these, try to get balanced in that ARPA fund. So once I get that done, I'll have Cindy bring that forward.
Okay. Can I ask my question real quick, Shannon?
Sure. Nobody else has got their hand up.
Okay. I'm not trying to take us off subject, but a couple of the members wanted to know real quick because it might pertain to the rest of the agenda. I know there was an emergency meeting on Saturday, and I know it didn't pass, but can you explain, from what I understand, there was an emergency meeting on Saturday, and I know it didn't pass, but what was the meeting regarding? Was it regarding the appropriations for the fund for the next quarter?
Yes.
Okay, so that did not pass. And then, is there an emergency meeting today at 3 p.m.?
Yes.
Thank you. Those were my only questions. Thank you.
Council Silvas.
I just wanted to clarify that it was not for appropriating the funds for the next quarter. It was for appropriating the funds for the next month is what was on the emergency meeting. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Council Silvas. That was correct. Okay, so we have an emergency or not emergency meeting, but a work session for this item tomorrow. Hopefully we get a little more clarity on the item. But we'll move down to the agenda to the next item. Let me zip on over there. Now it's going to be approving amendment number 1 to the memorandum of agreement for the lift station generator and safety grate and approving a budget modification MB what's that? MB 2026-06 for cash match increase of 100 or $757,757.14 from utility department wastewater 7500-702 for the backup generator projects
Yeah,
4576.
Shannon.
Yes.
Yeah, you're on the wrong one. Go back to page 1. Still under grants and contract. Should be contract with Dr. Lab Service.
No, you're correct. I was looking way ahead.
Yeah, so
Okay, enter a contract with Dr. Lab Services LLC 5-year contract 2026 to 2030 for calibrating lab equipment. That is Mr. Lewis.
Actually, Greg Walters here.
Okay, Mr. Walters.
Okay, we have used DR Lab Services for quite a few years now. They do in-house. That means they come here to calibrate all of our laboratory equipment in order so we can maintain EPA standards. We actually reached out this year to several different places, and they either don't do it or they make us ship our equipment to them. We only have one of some of these items because they're expensive. We can't afford to shut down to ship them the items. So DR Labs has been our best choice for doing this. And we're just trying to get in a new 5-year contract so that we can continue getting our lab equipment calibrated and stay within the EPA laws.
Okay, do we have any questions for Mr. Walters? Mr. Counselor Metzger.
yeah. How's this funded? Is grant funded?
It's in our budget.
Okay. And are they coming on site to do the recalibrations?
Yes, they do. They come on site and do every piece of equipment we have that requires calibration.
Okay, that sounds good. All right, I'm good. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mrs. Frias.
I just want to, no questions, just want to make council aware of just some of the details of the contract. It's a 5-year contract and it's $2,010 for the first year. It can be renewed every 5 years. And the rate for years 2 through 5 hasn't been set yet, but it'll be set according to Consumer Price Index, I assume near the end of the year. If there's any repairs that have to be done, that's done at a rate of $170 per hour plus $120 for the repair fee. There's a limit of liability to the actual fees paid. So for 1 year, that would be 2010. And it's a sole source contract, I think, for the reasons Mr. Walters explained. So I just wanted to make council aware of those provisions.
Thank you. Do you have any other questions for Mr. Counselor Wolf?
Why would we be writing for 5 years if they don't have the price limit set for the additional 4? That's like writing a blank check for 4 years. Why are we going for 5 years?
We're
If they
going
have
for
no
5
dollar
years.
amount.
The base to lock in this price with the only change being based on the consumer price index. Like, I think it was what, 3.5% last year or something similar to that.
So it can go up by 3.5% each year. So why isn't that in the contract to lock in the price and only add increases by consumer price index? There's no dollar amount stated in any of them. So we're not locking in a price.
We're locking in the base price, but from what I understand,
Only for year one. We need to be locking in the base price for all 5 years if we're going with a 5-year contract.
it says the preventive maintenance will be determined by this year's. The compensation may vary and be adjusted according to the consumer price index, which means it's going off the base price and bumping up only by the CPI. CPI may be 1%, it may be 3.5%. So we did lock in the base price, with the only difference being the CPI each year.
So the contract says we locked in the $2,100 for the total 5 years with CPI adjustment. Or does it say we only locked it in for year one?
Now, it says it in the contract on page 2 of the contract under compensation. Item 6 says the rate for the 2027 preventive maintenance will be determined by the 12/31/2026. The compensation may be adjusted according to CPI. In other words, it's the same as this year's, just bumped up for the CPI.
Counselor Metzger?
Yeah, I'm looking at the paperwork, and if that's the case, the memorandum is misleading. Because it says the amount of contract is for $2,010 per year for 5 years. It doesn't talk about no adjustments in the memorandum. So I'm getting a little more confused. Thank you, I'm good.
Mrs. Frios?
In the more detailed memorandum that Elise sends out, she did indicate what I also indicated, that the 2010 is for the first year, and then the rate changes depending on the CPI for the additional years. So there's no rate in the contract for years 2 through 5.
Thank you. Do you have any? Oh, go ahead.
That's the point what I was saying, why we should not adopt it. Years 2 through 5 are a blank check. They could come back with any rate. They could come back with anything. And what it sounds like, they have the market because they're the only ones that provide the service in our area.
The contract lists the base price as being the $2,010. Next year's will be 2010 plus the CPI. The following year will be 2027's plus the CPI, etc. So we have a base price locked in. The only variance is the CPI. And if let's say it's 3.5%, the next year's would be $2,085.
It was just stated that there's no amounts in years 2 through 5. No base amount.
The base amount is the 2026 amount, which is the $2,010. The rate for 2027, I'm reading from the contract, will be determined by the 12/31/26. The compensation may be adjusted according to consumer price index. So it is the 2010, and it may be adjusted for the CPI, but that's the only adjustments that are allowed in the contract.
So we're only going to get an increase if there's an increase in the CPI.
That is my understanding, and that's the way I read the contract.
Okay, because a CPI doesn't always increase. There's moving variables that add to that. There's inflation, deflation, stagnation. They're all getting incorporated into that. So I see what you're saying. Um, so yeah, there wouldn't be a rise unless it's in the CPI. Do any other questions? Councilor Metzger.
Well, I'm looking at the past 10 years of the CPI. And in 2023, it was 4.12. 2024, it dropped down to 2.95. This year, it jumped back up 3.8. So it's, as I'm looking at it, it's very flexible. I mean, it goes up and down. 3% of 2,000 is what, $200? So that's 10%.
I apologize if there's any confusion, Mr. Metzger. I was simply using 3.5 as an example. Yes, it may be a negative number. I doubt it. And it may
No,
be
what I am saying, sir, is that it fluctuates.
yes.
It hasn't been steady. I mean, the lowest I'm looking at is 1.23, and that's back in 2020. And the highest I'm looking at right now is in 2023, 3 years ago. No, actually 2022, when it was 8%. So the difference is concerning to me, because it can either be 1% increase or a 5% increase. Do you see what I'm getting at now?
I understand what you're getting at. This consumer price index is set each October each year based on a large number of factors. But even if it is like I said, a 10% CPI, we are talking, a $40 raise because the base is only $2,010. So it'd be $41 or $42. I'm sorry.
On a 10%? It's $200.
You're right. My math isn't working any better than anything else today, it seems.
We do have a work session on this tomorrow.
We do?
No. We got these guys back at 11 tomorrow.
Okay. Are there any other questions at this time? I think you're going to find that most businesses are doing the same kind of contract so that they don't get beat on prices. So it doesn't increase on them. They're locked in at a rate where they're paying more for the goods to supply you. Are there any more questions on this item? If not, we'll wait for the work session tomorrow. We'll move on to the next item. Hopefully I am on the right one. And that would be enter into a contract with NTEC Nelson Tank Engineering for water tower cleaning. And that'd be Mr. Lewis again.
Okay, you've got Greg Walters again.
Okay.
We found back from the EPA that their spot painting and stuff on the inside did not meet the EPA requirements for a full 5-year inspection. So to meet our EPA requirements, it must be cleaned and inspected. The last one was done in 2021, so that 5-year requirement puts us at 2026.
Okay, do we have any other questions? Mrs. Frias.
I just have my usual comments. So per the contract, we're only covered under our insurance. So it was sort of a warning that we shouldn't have like our people up on the tower doing any of the work. Any delays would cost $185 per hour. Any additional cleaning outside of the contract would be $360 per hour. If we don't pay them for some reason and they sue us, attorney's fees are included in that, so we would have to pay their attorney's fees. They go to mediation for disputes, and I believe that's all I had to say on this one. There's no waiver of sovereign immunity, and the dispute venue and the laws governing the contract are Little River, so that's good. And the contract amount is $5,250. And it should be done within 6 months. So just wanted to let you all know that.
Thank you very much. Do we have any other questions on this item? Counselor Metzger.
Yeah, I'd just like to say that we did have prior work sessions on a couple of these items. If you can go on your memory bank, I'd say about 3 weeks ago, I think we had work sessions on these.
Thank you. Thank you. Do you have any other questions on this item? If not, I will move down to the next item. That was the tower cleaning. Is the accepting addendum to the contract with Gosling Zubek for per report in the amount of $3,000. Original contract resolution 260401-023 Indian Health Services Grant Funded Resolution 24-1113-214. And that is Mr. Lewis.
Close, but no cigars. Again.
All right.
All right. We've had Gosling Zubek come out here to look at our existing drain field and look at improving our phosphorus removal. And that's what this is about. And at that time, because we're having issues with our drain field, not being able to keep up with the flow from the lagoons during certain times of the year. And because the original location for the drain field had shifted about 100 yards due to clay under the soil, they need to go in and do some soil boring in order to find an area where they believe we're going to have to enlarge the drain field, but they need to know where to do it. And that's what that $2,000 is for them to come in and do some sample bores to find what's under the ground, where we've got good sand, where it will drain.
Okay, thank you. Do you have any questions, Mr. Walters, on this item?
And one moment, real quick, and it will be IHS funded.
Thank you. Mrs. Frias.
So this is Gosling Zubek, so it's very similar to the other contract that I went over. There's no direct waiver of immunity, and the venue and the laws governing the contract are Little River. But if they did have to sue us and they were able to get beyond the sovereign immunity claim, we would have to pay attorney's fees. And if we had to sue them, we have a limitation on liability of up to $25,000. And any disputes would go to mediation first before court. So, and the contract ends October 1st, 2026. And like Mr. Walters said, it's $3,000.
Okay, thank you. Do you have any other questions for Mr. Walters on this item? Or comments? Okay, if not, we'll move on to the next item. That is ratification of contract with Grand Valley Automation Inc. utilizing local assistance tribal consistency funds, LATCF, for government center building automation system upgrade. And that I'm assuming that's going to, oh no, that's Mrs. Underwood.
Can you guys
Is-
hear me all right?
Yes.
Ani, today we're reviewing the sole source contract with Grand Valley Automation, Inc. for the upgrades to the government center's building automation system. In the amount of $24,854 funded through the Local Assistance Tribal Consistency Fund. Grand Valley Automation originally designed and programmed the system in 2012, 2013, and is uniquely qualified to complete the upgrades to ensure proper integration. The existing HVAC system uses a JANT 700, which serves as the system's main controller. The JANT is essentially the brain of the building's automation system. The JANT controller is outdated, which increases the risk of failure and limiting our ability to maintain it. The upgrade will improve reliability, strengthen cybersecurity, enhance the system's performance and monitoring. The proposal includes installation, programming, training, and 1-year warranty, and the project is ready to move forward upon approval. So during the work session held on 5/28, I was asked to submit an updated certification of funds and correct number 4 on the master agreement. And I will submit those updated documents today. With that, I turn it back to council for questions.
Thank you. Do you have any questions for Ms. Underwood? Mrs. Frias.
Just comment, we did use our master agreement for services for this one. So jurisdiction is with Little River, and it's the contracts governed by the laws of Little River. There's no waiver of sovereign immunity, and the project should be done by December 2026. And we did have a work session on this recently, so.
Okay, thank you. Do we have anything else on this item? If not, thank you, Ms. Underwood, and we'll move down to the next item, which is going to be entered to a contract for Gosling Zubek Engineering in the amount of $25,576 for management of Headworks project. And I'm thinking this is Mr. Walters too.
You win the prize today. This is once again because of material shortages, delays in receiving equipment, where the contract has already expired, and we are simply extending the contract out. The money is there. We just have to get approval to extend that contract out.
Okie dokie. Do you have any questions for Mr. Walters on this item? If not, thank you, Mr. Walters. Mrs. Frias.
Sorry, just real quick, I just wanted to give council the background to the contract. Again, it's Gosling Zubek. So we do have attorney's fees in here, a limit of liability to $25,000, the amount of the contract, mediation as the first source for the first venue for conflict. And it looks like there's going to be material testing and observation, construction administration, and it's a sole source contract. So I just wanted to point out those features of the contract for council's benefit.
Thank you. Do you have anything else in this item? If not, we'll move down the agenda to the next item, which is going to be adopting a fiscal year 2026 travel government operations budget submitted by the Travel Algoma, and that is Mrs. Bowers.
Thank you. This is bringing forward the resolution to do the approval of the 26 budget in the amount of $46,061,002, with the new distribution estimated at $24 million.
Okay, thank you. Is there any questions on this item? Mrs. Frias.
I just wanted to point out that the resolution does say that it's also approving a supplemental appropriation in order to fully fund the Ogoma's budget. So that is also in there as something that has to be approved.
Of course, thank you. Is there anything else in this item? Okay, if not, we'll move down to the next item, which is going to be approving amendment number 1 to the memorandum of agreement for the lift station generator and safety grate, and approving a budget modification MB 2026-07 and for cash match increase of, oh, I'm sorry. I want to make sure that's right. Okay, no, I think they'd be 06. Sorry about that. And approving where are we at? I lost my spot. Sorry about that. Acceptance of grant funds from state of Michigan. Nope. Yeah, I did lose my spot. Here we are. Approving amendment number 1. Yep, I think I got it.
Okay.
Approving amendment number 1 to the memorandum of agreement for the lift station generator and the safety grate, and approving a budget modification MB 2026-06 for cash match increase of $757.14 from utility department wastewater 7500-702 for the backup generator project 4576. And that's Mrs. Bowers.
Thank you. I don't know what else to say. I have to go through this one. This is one of Diane's the utilities. So there's a memorandum that you need a cash match increase on this one of $757.14, which would come out of 7,500-702 the wastewater to be able to pay for everything for this backup generator.
Okay, thank you. Do you have any questions of Mrs. Bowers on this item? Mrs. Frias.
Are you also moving 20K out of professional fees and putting it into capital outlay?
Yes, it should have been in all in capital outlay and not in professional fees. So we're doing just cleaning up this whole grant so it's all correct.
Okay, so there's 2 things council would be doing is approving the slight increase and then also approving the moving of the $20,000.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Do you have any other questions on this item? Okay, if not, we'll be moving down to the next item on the agenda, which is going to be approving a budget modification, MB 2026-07, authorizing a modification to the 2017 BIA GLRI budget. And that's Mrs. Bowers.
Okay, I'll do my best. This is really Frank. We didn't get the agenda sent out to us, so Frank probably isn't even aware that we have stuff on the agenda. So this is just moving some funds within this money from the BIA so that we can try to close out this grant and get these are mainly for the temporary health and natural resources. And we're just trying to put the money into those sections to get that money spent out.
Okay, thank you. Mrs. Rios?
Is it possible just to explain what you're reallocating? Because I'm not understanding, and maybe I just don't understand the budget enough, but I don't understand in the now therefore it is resolved clause, what the numbers mean.
So we're taking the rest of what's in professional fees, equipment repair, supplies, travel and training, and capital outlay to make those numbers be 0. And then those funds are being reallocated to the salary and fringe up on top.
Okay.
Fringe, small equipment, and uniforms.
So you're zeroing out those in the brackets, those are the negatives, right, and adding that to the salary mostly.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, do we have any other questions on this item? Okay, if not, I'll be moving down to the next item. Down back to where we were. They had two up. So the next item will be, and that's Mrs. Bowers as well, acceptance of grant funds from the state of Michigan Tribal Opioid Settlement Funds, OSF, and approving a modification of the operating budget, MB 2026-08, in the amount of $533,382. And that's Mrs. Bowers.
Thank you. This is just accepting the money from the state of Michigan for the tribal opioid settlement funds. We only have until September 30th of this year to spend out these funds for treatment, for members. So we're just accepting those funds.
Okay, thank you. Do you have any questions at this time? Mrs. Frias.
All right, I have two questions. Just why is there a carryover from last year? Were we just unable to spend down those funds, or what happened?
That's correct, and it was, the state stated that they were gonna do those carryover, so they added that to what our awards would have been this year. So the total is $533,382. Yeah, we weren't able to spend it all last year.
Do you think you'll be able to this year?
Well, getting it accepted this late, I'm hoping so, but I can't, it's June. I've been trying to get it accepted since January, so.
But it says in the notes there that it's actually started in October 2025.
And we didn't get finalized on their end and our end until January.
Okay.
To
Okay,
get all
thank you.
the correct documents from the estate.
Thank you.
Okay, do we have anything else in this item? Okay, we'll move down to the next item, which is going to be, again, Ms. Bowers, which is acceptance of contract funds from the Indian Health Services Office of Self-Governance for contract support costs, direct and approving modifications to the operating budget, MB 2026, and I think it's 08, in the amount of $201,675. That's Mrs. Bowers.
This is just accepting money from the Indian Health Services for contract support costs for 26 for $201,675, and that all goes right into clinic operations.
Okay, thank you. Do you have any questions for Mrs. Bowers? If not, we'll move down to the next one, which is going to be acceptance of contract funds. Those are really close in the amounts. Acceptance of contract funds from this Indian Health Service Office of Self-Governance and approving a modification of the operating budget, NB 2026-09, in the amount of, what is that, 2 million? Yeah, that's 2 million. $2,281,345. That's Mrs. Bowers.
Yes, this is our 26 calendar year funding from IHS. $990,067 goes to contract health. $1,008,713 goes to clinic operations, and $82,565 goes into behavioral health.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any questions for Mrs. Bowers? Okay, if not, we'll move on to the next item, which is going to be acceptance of contract funds from the Department of Health and Human Services 2026 Low Income Home Energy Assistance LIHEAP, and approving a modification of the operating budget MB 2026-10 in the amount of $29,099. That's Mrs. Bowers.
Thank you. 1 second here. This is money received from HHS for LIHEAP. This is an additional allocation that was sent out for $26,099. So this would be added to the original LIHEAP that we received in the amount of $223,008. So that's just increasing it by $26,099 for client services.
Okay, thank you. Mrs. Frias.
And these also have to be obligated by September of this year?
It is actually as of for 27, September 27. They have a 2-year spending on these line.
Oh, okay, so it doesn't have to be obligated this year.
Yes, and I do want to note that on the agenda, the tribal council sent out, it says 29,099. The agenda and the resolution, everything says 26. If they could change that, please. 26,000, not 29.
Okay, thank you. I think you've got that change. Do we get that change noted? Okay. Okay, then the next one we have is acceptance of contract funds from the U.S. Department of Interior, Bureau of Indian Affairs, and approving a modification of the operating budget MB 2026-11 in the amount of $740,442, and that's Mrs. Bowers.
This for public safety, Great Lakes Fisheries, enforcement, Great Lakes Fisheries assessment, BIA inland enforcement, and TPA base for a total of $740,442. And if you want, I can go through how much is being put into each program.
I'll leave that to council. Would you like that, council? I'm not hearing anybody asking for it.
Okay.
All right. Do we have any questions for Mrs. Bowers? Okay, if not, we'll move on to the next item, which is going to be acceptance of contract funds from the U.S. Department of Interior, Bureau of Indian Affairs, and approving a modification of the operating budget MB 2026-12 in the amount of 700. Wait, that was the one we just did. I'm sorry. So we're done with that. So we're down to approving budget expenditures. Nothing there. Old business, new business, nothing there. And that would be down to concluding business. Okay, for all the members that probably tuned in to find out about the agenda, yes, I will be putting forward an ad for a stimulus. So other than that, we are going to be moving into close.
Okay.
And thank you, everyone.